possible.
Alright, Stephen and Mick Marsden, how you doing?
Mick?
Yeah, let's start off with that. How was the Matchroom show, Mark?
Mate, tell you what a show that was. They did an unbelievably good job on that.
Yeah.
Crowd or no crowd, it was just absolutely spectacular what they'd done. I mean, really was. I say it wasn't out, right? No, it was really good. Mate, hat off to them for what they've done. Like, they had literally covered every single thing. And to be honest with you, the fights were good. You didn't. It's funny, you didn't need a crowd. The atmosphere by what they'd done created an atmosphere, if that makes sense. So it just looked spectacular.
It looked good on TV though.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It was, I would have been proud to be. If I was fighting and I was probably part of it, it was great. And I wouldn't have been. If I was one of these that needed a crowd, not under there, like.
Yeah. Now you were called in like last minute to go corner for Simon. They introduced you as Mick Marsden for whatever reason.
Makes sense to me, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
No, it was just, I don't know what had happened. Mick couldn't make it or something, so Paul rang me on the Monday and said, "Is your licensing date?" I was like, "Look, I'll renew it and I'll get it next day." So it's all, everything was up to date, just needed renewed. But I wasn't going to do it until, well, I was planning to do it anyway with Stevie, but I thought I'll just hang fire for about weeks. But then they rang on the Monday and said, "Look, Mick can't do it. Would you mind coming down and work in the corner for Simon?" I went, "Yeah, no problem." I rang the board and got my stuff out next day, and then we're away. Obviously, we've been in camp with Simon since, well, pretty much for the last year, haven't we? Just over, non-stop for all of his last 4 or 5 fights. Steve sparred with him, so we all know each other really well. We all get on really well, so they felt quite comfortable having me there. So.
Now, Stephen, how did you see that fight with Simon and Fabio?
First round, I thought Simon was 1 up. Second round, I thought was very close, and then obviously the third round, he just got tagged with that check left hook, and I think it stunned him a little bit. And then as he stepped back, he went to take a knee, and he was seeing the bottom rope, bounced him back up. So had he have had that 8 seconds just to recuperate from that shot, would it have gone different? I don't know, but it was. I mean, it was on the verge to be a good fight. They were both working the jabs really well. So I think it could have went either way had of Simon, but I think Fabio just showed a little bit, of the youth side of things. It was, I don't know. I just think, like I said, I think it was going to be a really good fight hadn't he been caught. But one of the main things was, Simon was said, don't get into a fight, come, just come on your back foot, and he started unfortunately get into a fight, didn't he? And that's when he's been caught. Had he a skill set, I think Simon wins all day. Hands down, I think Simon's phenomenally skilled, which, you look back at his pedigree, it shows that he's skilled, but he was told not to get into a fight, and unfortunately he did, and that's when he's been caught with that shot.
Were you both impressed with Fabio?
Yeah, I mean,
he did kind
done
of
what he needed to do.
Do you know what, he didn't really. I saw 2 rounds of him, and I haven't, apart from watching Fabio online, it's different when you watch someone online to when you watch him, in the ring. You can study. He's got a better skill set than I think that I thought he actually had when you watch him. But he didn't do anything spectacular. One thing you've got to take how the kid can bang. And he can hit. Is he the most concussive one-punch knockout artist I've ever seen? No, but he can hit. He's got a bit of power in those hands. So you've got to respect him for that. And to be honest with you, he just traded left hooks, and Simon came off worse than he did. But when you talk about performances though, like, and so Fabio hasn't really fought anyone. Simon's his best name on his record today. He is, but then you look at Simon's last 4 or 5 opponents, they haven't really been live opponents, so he's not been mentally stimulated. You know what I mean? To have to actually fight hard or whatever. So for me, and it's not his fault. No, it's just the fights he had. It's no one's fault. It's just what was there for him at the time. What he realistically needs is he needs these live opponents again that'll stimulate him mentally. And no, I don't mean this in the wrong way, but when he's having like people that are coming up like a journeyman or a little bit more than a journeyman, not really coming to win, so they're not giving him that test that he needs. So someone like Simon, who's fought up at that level, his whole career, he doesn't have to be switched on for those fights. That's the thing. You can make these silly mistakes, and I think maybe a little bit he's kind of just switched off that little bit, and he's underperformed, not through his own fault, just through. And I always talk to Steve about this in sparring, and we're talking about it today actually. It's like when you're sparring people, there's no point in sparring them just to do them a favour because they need the rounds in if it's not going to be a competitive sport. Because you need to learn, you need to be punished for making these mistakes. Not hurt, but you need to, like, right, my hand was there every time I go and I'm getting clipped for this. Then we need to work with it and go, why is this happening, what are we doing? Simon's been allowed to get away with this his last 4 or 5 fights. And I'm not taking anything away from him because Simon's a top quality operator, he really is. But because he's been able to do it, these little bad habits have just crept in, do you know what I mean? And maybe held his feet too long, maybe his reactions aren't what they were. I don't think he's a sharp fighter in any way. Not from what we've seen in sparring him. You know, he's totally different when he sparred, but when you've got that mentality of sparring all the time and you go in there and your sparring's up here, then your fight mentality's there. It's funny the way it switches. It's the same with performance weight and training weight. It's all the same sort of thing, and psychologically I think he just wasn't. He was up for the fight, he was more than up for the fight. But I just think psychologically, because of what he had been fighting his last 4 or 5 fights, he wasn't as switched on as he possibly maybe he should have been in terms of fight performance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say, it's not because when you watch him in there sparring, you've been here, you've watched him, he spars, and we know how sharp he is and how good he is. But when you see him in the ring, it doesn't always translate to that. And I think it's just been his last 4 or 5 opponents. So I think if you stepped up to better opposition, got him someone who's coming to win, start to bring him back up, 1, 2, maybe like that, sharpen him back up mentally again, you'll see a different side to Simon. I think he can rejuvenate his career doing that. I genuinely do. Because I've not seen any signs in there that he's a short fighter. Not when he's sparring anyway.
He's with MTK, isn't he?
I think he's with them now. He was with Mick Morrison for a while. When I don't know MTK or Mick, maybe some cool joint thing. I didn't even ask that question. I don't get involved when someone sends me somewhere else. I won't even ask those questions.
So Steve, is the English title on your radar in the next 12, 24 months, do you reckon?
Not 24 months, it'll be before that, 100%. I've got to have a 6-rounder, a couple of 6-rounders, ideally an 8-rounder, and then yeah, definitely. I mean, sparring Simon and seeing the level that I need to be at and where I'm at and know where I need to get to the English title. Listen, I think in 12 months I think Fabio will have vacated by then, so I can't see that happening. But definitely in the next 12 months it's something I'd be leaning towards, 100%. 24-month British title. There's, I wouldn't be in the sport and I wouldn't be sacrificing what I'm sacrificing if I didn't see myself getting up there. I'm giving up too much not to see myself with that British title in two years. And that's the top part of it. So if I need to get the English title first, fine. If not, go straight to there. Just whatever Mark thinks is the best, but 100% I think if I'm not looking at a British title shot in the next 2 years or Commonwealth or something, then I'm doing something wrong. And I don't think at the minute I'm in the right direction. The things me and Mark are working on and training and sparring in progression with the fights. Obviously I've had this setback, but I think it's something I could definitely do.
Do you have like a personal time scale of how long you're going to give yourself in boxing?
Nah. I think age is just a number. You look at the likes of Lucas Brown and stuff who are still fighting, 40, 41 year old, and you've got the likes of Sokolowski, and I mean you look at some great amateurs, David Price, Audley Harrison, Joe Joyce, that didn't turn over until they were 32, 33. And they went 3, 4, 5 years. So I think as long as you keep yourself mentally prepared, mentally fit, and keep your body in shape, and your diet's well, you train well, you sleep well, and you know, it becomes a lifestyle rather than just a hobby. I think you can go on for as long as you need to go on. So, and for me, it is a lifestyle. It's not a hobby. I take it serious. I train hard. I diet hard. I try and sleep well. But you know, it's I don't look at myself and go, oh, I've only got 3 years left. I've only got 4 years left. I've only got. You know, I don't look at it like that. I look at where I see myself, and you know, set smart targets where I see myself in a year, where I see myself. As I say, we've had this setback with the corona, but am I going to let that mentally get to us? No. I still 6 months ago, before this had started, if you said where will you be in 2 years, I would have said I'll be fighting for a British title. 6 months later, I haven't had a fight, and I'm still got the same mindset because training's never stopped. I've never stopped, so sparring's never stopped. So yeah, the fights have stopped. Have I got ring rust? Not really. I'm sparring 10 rounds with somebody who's a Commonwealth gold medalist and who's just fought for an English title, and you know, comfortably gained against them. So I don't see why I can't get to where I want to be in that amount of time.
What do you think, Mark? Do you think that, well, as his manager and trainer, do you have a plan for the English, the British, or does it depend on the landscape? Or
yeah, I mean, there's not really a set time frame. We can't go, oh, we're going to have it in 12 months because look what's happened now.
Yeah.
You know, for Steve, we talked about this and we thought, you know, this year, last year and this year were like apprenticeship, serving the apprenticeship within the fight game. So by the end of this year, we would have liked to have had that one more 4-rounder, a couple of 6s, and you know, maybe 1 or 2 8, and would be looking to push. You know, he should have been about 9. I would have thought if things had gone the way we were expecting, would have been 8-0, 9-0, all being well, and then would start to be knocking on the door. You know, saying, listen, we're now in the mandatory position for the, as Fabio was, you know, in his 9th fight, and he was in that mandatory position for the English title. And I'd like to see Steve there within that sort of time frame. So, and I think he can achieve that. He's, you know, he's more than capable in what we're doing. But you know, talking about how long he's got left in the game, you know, we're going to know when he starts to slow down. We're going to know when that snap isn't there. We're going to know reactions aren't there. That's when we'll have a discussion. But then you've got to look at risk reward. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not taking the punches he is, and I want him to get in and out of the game with all his faculties still there. I don't want him walking away going
faculties.
No, you know what I mean, don't you? But I don't want him coming out in kind of being, you know, everybody's got one more fight in them. I mean, fighters have always got one more fight in us. We all say the same thing. I've got one more. I've got one more.
Pride, isn't it?
Yeah, and how much is one too many before this? And your speech is slurred, and you're missing things, and you've got a jitter in your arm. So you see so many fighters like that, and you think, do you know what? You just went a little bit too far. The main thing is as well, though, is, you know, it's a business, and I don't care what anyone says, just for the sake of somebody ringing up and going, there's a fight there, and then people trying to call you out. If it doesn't make sense financially, what's the point? You know, he's not there just to fill in a gap and a void for someone else, for the promoters to make all the money from. The opportunity's got to be right for him, and the money has to be right. It's as simple as that, because I want him in and out of this game, and going in but leaving, again, with the factors in place and money in the bank. Otherwise, what we're doing it for? Do you know what I mean? Go and be an unlicensed fighter, yeah, for the glory. Just go and fight 3-2s, 4-2s on the unlicensed circuit, or go do some bare knuckle crap.
That's true.
And if it doesn't work out, I mean, my boyfriend's pretty too bad. He's got 2
Listen,
gyms in town.
Don't believe anything he says, right?
So me and Mark will just retire and, you know, somewhere in France if all goes wrong.
What's what my kids say? They're like, Daddy,
Fathers for justice and all.
That's okay, you can keep on ordering the cheeseburgers.
Cheeseburgers.
Go on, Steve, give him the story for that one real quick before we...
So we're on a drive down to...
No, we're on a drive, we're on a road trip.
Yeah, we went there, we drove to Portugal, and we drove down. It was a nightmare of a trip. We had planned to get down to Portugal in 3 days, take turns sleeping in the car, and then drive home. Taking the turn sleeping in the car didn't really work out. I drove 26 hours. Mark
No,
drove
you didn't.
6.
We got there in 27 hours, mate. We got there from here to Faro, Portugal in 27 hours, just non-stop, so every 4 or 5 hours.
Yeah. So then unfortunately, we didn't realise that we thought we were in Germany, we thought we were on the Autobahn, and we were excessively speeding. We were reading the signs as miles per hour, not kilometres, so we got 12 tickets. And then, so we get down to Portugal, done a turnover, picks his brother up, on my way back, tyre blew up. Mark being Mark and having a creme de la creme of cars, couldn't just get this tyre from anywhere.
That's Spain.
So we ended up being stuck in this absolutely horrendous place for 3 days that sold the worst omelettes. All it sold was omelettes.
And there was literally, it was in the mountains in northern Spain, there was literally nothing to do. There wasn't a gym or a pool or anything.
It was just
hundreds of miles.
It was just a truck station. Yeah. It was just men cuddling each other, and it was perfect for me and Mark. But it was just a trucker station. Anyway, so we get back on the road, extremely tired, and we pulls into Calais, and we all fancied a Macdonalds. So Mark's French, speaks fluent French, and we were telling him what we wanted in Macdonalds, and he's doing his order, you know, chicken nuggets, blah blah blah, speaking in French, and then he says, does anyone want anything else? And his brother said, oh, get me a cheeseburger. So he stopped for a second thinking, what's a double cheeseburger in French? So he just looks and he goes, and I'll order a double cheeseburger.
I knew what it was. I remember, I was like, oh man, it's pretty much the same, it's just the way they pronounce it.
So,
and then them two were buckled, filming us opening it. Absolutely buckled, and it's not that, man, it's not that. I'm like, it is that, man. Honestly, it is that.
Cheeseburger. But we got the order right, and we got home in the end, and it went from 3 days to 6 days.
We got a half one nearly.
And then, yeah, it was.
And the whole reason we drove down was because Dom was driving back up and getting the ferry over, but then Storm Diane hit. So just for the wondering what the hell we actually decided to drive all the way down to Portugal for. We just fancied a road trip. No, Storm Diane hit, and all the ferries got cancelled, and he gave up his apartment. She was kicked out on the Friday, so we each finished training, and I rang him about 9:30, and I went, "What are you doing, mate?" And he was like, "I don't know." I went, "Fancy a road trip?" And he went, "Well," I went, "I've got to go to Portugal to pick my dog." And I've been serious, so yeah, I think he thought I was joking. I turned up his door, I was like, "You got the passport?" He was like, "Yeah." Started laughing, I was like, he went, "Where we go?" Got in the car, started driving, where we're going. I wasn't joking, mate, we're going to Portugal. I went, "Have you generally got your passport?" He was like, "Yeah." So we just went all the way down with, got the shuttle, and that was it, we were away. It was, to be fair, mate, it was a really nice drive.
But we can't go back because we've got Yeah, we've got about, we literally got, I think we've got 12 speeding tickets from Spain, France and Portugal.
Oh my god.
Yeah, if I go back I probably will go 5 grand speeding fines now, because they said if
you've got a new car though, so it's fine.
I've got a different reg now, so I've got a new car. But yeah, I went back through, I think they said if it was something like €150, then if I didn't pay within so many days it was €300, then I got another letter, it was like €1,000 pay fine. I was like, I'm just not going to go back to France again.
Blacklisted.
I'm blacklisted from the motherland. So it is what it is. And Spain and Portugal. It's all his fault. It isn't Dom's fault. I didn't speed, like, stuck at 70 mile an hour all the way.
Driving Miss Daisy.
Spot on. Alright, lads. I appreciate your time as always.
Perfect, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and we'll see you again soon.
Lovely, thank you.